is my honor to invite Chairman Microsoft Corporation India Private Limited, Mr. Bhaskar Pramanik. Keep the applause going. Unleash the power within. दोस्तों, ऐसी तालियां होनी चाहिए जो दुनिया ने नहीं देखी हो. Come on. Welcome on board, Mr. Bhaskar Pramanik. You're truly an inspiration to all of us here. दोस्तों, तालियां, तालियां, तालियां. Truly a historic moment. Each one of us should get their hands together to ensure that the energy maintains throughout these 2 days. Everybody unleash the power within for Mr. Bhaskar Pramanik.
Thank you. Thank you. Karan, the next time Satya is here, let's do this to him. So first of all, thank you everybody for being here. It's really an awesome pleasure and a privilege for me to be standing here in front of you on our second Azure conference. We had the first last year in Bangalore, and this year we decided that it has to be in Pune. Now, why in Pune? So one, I spent 20% of my life in Bombay. I actually finished my schooling from Bombay, and a lot of my career was in this part of the world. I've been coming to Pune for the last 30, 35 years, and I've seen it grow. It always was a highly industrialized city, and it has all the ingredients of what will make a mega city. It had engineering, some of the best known names in automotive, in engineering, in packaging are all here. Very well-known brands, multinationals, engineering companies like Thermax, Bajaj, Mahindras. Then it had a very strong education system. I'm sure a number of you have graduated from here. Very strong engineering institutions, very strong scientific institutions, a world-class meteorology lab. It's all here. You've got world-class defense research and development organization, an awesome presence of the Indian Armed Forces. It's the Western Command for the Army. It's the Western Command for the Air Force. It's got NDA. It's got the Armed Forces Medical College and a huge number of defense R&D establishments out here. And then it's got IT. Happened much later, perhaps over the last 10 to 15 years. And today it's got one of the most talented and upcoming entrepreneurial workforce, which has created some of the best-known IT companies, Persistent, Zensar, all based out of here. And I know there's a whole bunch of other companies, and everybody who's the who's who in the IT industry is here in India today. So we decided that let's add a little bit more masala to the mix. And we said, let's hold the Azure conference in Pune. One of the other reasons is that we're also opening a data center here. So, congratulations. We want all of you, whether you're in government, whether you're in education, whether you're a developer, whether you're an upcoming startup, or whether you are part of industry, we want you to use these data centers. This is just one. We have more. And we'll talk about that during the rest of the conference. What I'd like to do today is to share with you where we are in our journey to the cloud. And I think it's important that I share how it fits into our overall strategy. First of all, thank you, because this year, in 2015, Microsoft India celebrates its 25th year in India. It's been an awesome journey. It's been an awesome journey because we've been part of what has made this nation great. And we feel glad in terms of how we've been able to contribute towards it. We continue to look forward with huge ambition in terms of what we can do as a company and what we can do as a country with regard to technology. Our vision continues to be how we can empower every Indian citizen and every business to realize their true potential, to be able to do more and to be more. That really is our vision, and our journey isn't finished. It's just the start, the way I look at it, of our next 25 years. We live in what I call a mobile-first and a cloud-first world. You'll hear this throughout the conference. You'll get a chance to experience it in the booths which we have outside. But what do we mean by mobile-first? Mobile-first is not about the mobile phone. Mobile, when we refer to mobile, it's about the mobility of the individual. It's about the mobility of the application and service which can be delivered across any kind of form factor, any kind of device. That's what we mean by mobility. So I want you to understand that is really what is making the new era of computing possible, is this concept of mobility. Now, mobility wouldn't happen if you didn't have the cloud. The cloud is what makes this happen, because that's the infrastructure on the basis of which you see this new generation of applications which incorporate social, which incorporate analytics, and which are served out across a multiplicity of different kinds of devices. So it is a mobile-first, it is a cloud-first world, and India truly represents that. Now, as a company, we've always been the best in productivity and in platforms. When I go and talk to the CEO of any company, they'll tell you, oh, yes, we know everything about Microsoft. You're the Windows guys, you're the Office guy. And I have to explain to them that's not what we are today. We are a productivity company, yes, and we are a platform company. But we've redefined the concept of productivity. Productivity is no longer about the productivity of an individual. It's about the productivity of your work group. It's about the productivity of your enterprise. And we have extended the concept of productivity to even include processes. So when we talk about customer relationship management, it's about enhancing that relationship between you and your customer is also what we define as productivity. Productivity is also not just from a work context, but productivity is how can we enrich the life of every individual. When we talk about Cortana, which is our personal assistant, and I know how many of you are familiar with Cortana, but Cortana is the personal assistant which we built into every phone and which we're building into every Windows 10 device in future. It's a personal assistant who helps and assists you in whatever you need to get done during the course of the day. It recognizes who my son is. It knows who my wife is. It can record messages for me and remind me when I have to pass on that message to my family. It tells me when I should go to work because it has checked out where I'm going and tells me that, you need to start now. It can help me to track my flights. It helps me to manage my appointments. It helps me to do many things. And we're building that into every device which we have. That's for productivity. Last week, excuse me. Last week I was in Bombay, and we had the first batch of 11 startups graduate from the Reliance Gen Next Ventures, the incubation hub which we have set up, the accelerator. And it was amazing because all of these 11 companies had one thing in common. They had a great business model, they had a great idea, they had unique differentiation, but every one of them were either focusing on enhancing the productivity of a consumer or enhancing the productivity of a business. So when we talk about productivity, it is much wider and much more encompassing than just talking about Office. And it's the same thing with platforms. When we talk about platforms, what do we mean? So one is the platform which everybody knows, Windows. But we've now taken Windows, and now Windows is available across your phone, your tablet, your PC, your big screen TV, and all the way into the Internet of Things. That's Windows. So whether you have a screen or you don't have a screen, you'll see that Windows is now going to be ubiquitous, which means that you have a common set of APIs, which means that you have a common set of interfaces, which means you can build an application once, you have a common store, and it makes life so much easier. But we also understand that there are many other such devices in the world, and we are making sure that all our applications and services also run on those platforms. Platforms is not just what you have in your hand or what you carry around with you, but it's also in the back end, that infrastructure, either in your private cloud or in your public cloud. And that's something which we continue to keep investing in and what we continue to make better so that you can build the applications and services which will power the future economy. So that's what we call platform. But Satya once explained to me that the concept of a platform for Microsoft is even broader than the hardware and software platforms on devices or on your data center. He says platform is also about the ecosystem. It's about the ecosystem which we create so that people can use these platforms to create these new applications and services. It's about the developer community. It's about the students. It's about the new startups and entrepreneurs. It's about industry associations. It's about government, all part of the ecosystem to create this new wave of how technology is going to be used to have a huge impact on our daily lives and also in our professional lives. And we have to worry about that. So when we talk about platform, to us, that ecosystem is also a platform. And that's something which we cherish and we believe that we are responsible for. So productivity and platforms in that wider context. And you'll hear a lot of what we're doing in those two areas during the course of the next 2 days. So the subject for which all of you are gathered, it's the Microsoft Cloud. And this is a cloud which we believe is the most comprehensive and the most complete cloud from a single vendor. It has what we call Azure, which is the infrastructure and data services which are required for you to be able to build, manage, and deploy the applications and services which your company or which your organization requires to be done. It's the most comprehensive set of services, both for infrastructure as well as for data. And on top of it, we have inbuilt analytics and predictive insights so that you can actually gather all that data and also use the services, some of the services of Azure, to enable you to take much more better and more informed decision. So analytics is built into the offering which we have. It also has the most comprehensive set of office and productivity solutions with built-in predictive insights and with social now part of the overall offering. We have been talking about a product in Office called Delve. Delve is social in the context of your productivity solutions or your office solutions. It enables you to look at what are the artifacts. It enables you to look at what people who are reporting to you are focusing on. So sometimes, when I think that these are really very important decisions which we have to take, very important initiatives which we have to take in Microsoft, and I ask myself, does the rest of my team actually believe in that? What's the best way to check? So I go into Delve and I find out what Karan is looking at and working on, what kind of messages Tyler is exchanging with some of our other colleagues. And then I can understand what I need to tweak up and tweak down so that all of us are aligned and are focusing on the right areas. That's just another example of how social is now creeping into our day-to-day activity. So we have the most comprehensive Office solution. We call it Office 365. And like I said, productivity is all about processes. We now have business solutions, business applications, the ability for you to be able to look after your customer, to be able to design the most effective marketing program, and we call it CRM Online. That's also now available on the cloud. And over a period of time, more and more of these kinds of business applications from us and from third parties would be available over what we call the most complete cloud, the Microsoft Cloud for Business. So we're going to talk a lot more about this offering and what it consists of over the course of the next 2 days. But it's this Microsoft Cloud which enables what most CEOs want. They want more productivity, higher efficiency. That's what we need in India. If we are going to get to a growth rate of 10% per year, which is what our aspirations are, then it's going to happen, because if we can increase the productivity of every individual in the workforce by 10%, we'll add that 1% or 2% to our GDP, just like that. So it is about a more productive, more efficient workforce. It's about being able to create new business models. And you know, the 11 startups I witnessed yesterday and the 200 other startups we've seen over the course of the last couple of years, one thing is very clear, is that cloud and Azure enables this new business models which were never possible earlier. When I talk to CEOs, I tell them one thing: assume you had infinite computing. What would your business model be? Because that is what is going to make you win in future. The person or the organization who seizes the infinite computing capability which the cloud brings to you, they will be the ones who succeed. Technology is no longer the limitation. It's about business insights. Everything we do once it gets captured, you can then start looking at the past, and you can also start then extrapolating it to the future. Not just by using the data which you're capturing in your transaction system, but also from the data which exists all over from many other systems. We call that big data. The ability to marry that, to be able to then take better informed decisions, to do predictive analysis, is something which the cloud brings to you. And that's something which most companies, most marketing, business development managers are all looking for. And finally, I think it helps you to reduce the cost of your current investments. The cloud is the most democratization of technology that I have ever seen in my 40 years in the industry. It enables even the smallest of startups, the smallest of entrepreneurs, to be able to leverage technology to the hilt. It's no longer a discriminating factor between a large enterprise and a smaller organization. Affordability is no longer the issue. It's really a question of who has the highest level of imagination. So the ability to leverage existing investment is going to be something which the cloud makes happen. Now, how do we differentiate? And I think there's 3 areas how we differentiate. Number one is that we are at hyperscale. We have invested, and we invest close to about $4.5 billion a year on setting up data centers across the globe. We have multiple regions. I'm going to share that with you, the footprint which we currently have. But this gives you a scale and economics which are only a few companies in the globe have the opportunity to do. In India, we are making those kinds of investments. We will change the way computing is done in India. We will change the economics of computing. We will change the way government, state-owned enterprises, public sector, private entrepreneurs and startups use technology to create an economy which is going to be the fastest growing and perhaps the 3rd largest in the next 10 years. We are going to change that. And we're going to change that because we are investing in those hyperscale data centers here in India. The second is our data centers are enterprise grade, whether it is around security, whether it is around privacy, whether it is around the certifications, whether it is in terms of the speed and the latency our networks will provide, or the capacity in terms of storage, we will be providing an enterprise-grade service. And that is backed by our ability through our service organization to provide that human touch which all enterprises require. It's interesting, but a lot of the CEOs I talk to, they say that unfortunately, none, or not unfortunately, but fortunately for you, none of your other 2 competitors understand service the way we do. When your payroll system is down in Diwali, you need somebody to be on site. And unfortunately, fortunately, we're the only guys who can do that. It's unfortunate that our other 2 competitors can't do that. Our enterprise service capabilities is one of our biggest advantages which we have, and that is what is required if you want to offer an enterprise-grade service. The third and most important thing is it's hybrid. Hybrid means that you can develop an application or a service using your own private cloud infrastructure and then deploy it on the cloud, or even vice versa. We don't force you to move from your existing data center to the cloud all in one go. You can do it at your own pace. We don't expect you to migrate from your existing Linux application or Java application and have to migrate it to .NET. You can move it as it is, lift and shift onto the cloud. We give you all those choices. We give you the opportunity to work in a hybrid kind of an environment. No one else enables you to do that. So let's talk about what we've been doing over the last 12 months in terms of our footprint. Our Azure footprint 12 months ago was about 8 regions, 8 data center regions, as we call them, located 4 in the US, 2 in Europe, 1 in Singapore, and the other one was in China. This was basically our footprint. Now you look at where we are today, our footprint is now extended, and you'll notice that there is a green over India. It's what we call a data center region, and what that consists of, what that region, what we mean by a data region is something which the other speakers following me are going to be talking about. But it's huge, it's massive. And you're fortunate that, somebody asked me yesterday, where are your data centers in India? And I said, I'm standing on it, because I'm here in Pune. So we now have 19 Azure data center regions, and all of these are open for business. The Indian data center, the services will be launched, like we had said 12 months ago, by the end of this year. We are way ahead in terms of our schedule, and we will be able to meet those requirements. So stay tuned, but the data centers will be launched on schedule the way Satya had promised when he was here last year. A few other points which I wanted to share, and in a way I've touched upon it, but you can have an application which is developed on any kind of environment, Java, .NET, Node.js, Python, PHP, and you can move it to Azure. You can deploy it, or you can render it on any kind of device, whether it's the Android, whether it's the iPhone, or whether it's the Windows phone. And you can use any kind of database, whether it is Hadoop or Mongo. I remember I was talking to the UID folks, and UID, the complete UID solution is based on Mongo and Hadoop. So it doesn't take very much to move it from one kind of an environment to another kind of environment. And basically, we can do any environment, whether it's DB2, Oracle, or even Cassandra. And again, it's across any kind of operating system. And you're going to hear a lot more about this, the flexibility which we provide in terms of the environment, irrespective of the development environment, irrespective of the database, and irrespective of the operating system. Yeah, please take pictures of this slide, and please send it out on Twitter today. The other one I wanted to touch upon, and you'll hear a lot more about this, is that, while most of India has sort of accepted the cloud, the first were the consumers. Consumers loved the cloud. They didn't even know it was the cloud, and that helped because they just lapped it up. And every one of you out here have been using the cloud for between the last 5 to 15 years without even knowing it was on the cloud. All the email providers were all on the cloud. And now with social, with Facebook and Tweet, all of you are very happy with the cloud. You don't really worry too much about privacy and security because you like all the services which they provide. We found that the government has embraced the cloud in a big way, in a very, very big way. And they're setting up the government cloud. And they're taking a decision that all applications and services will move to the cloud. If you think about Digital India, if you think about JAM, then it's all about leveraging the cloud, using the mobile phone as the means by which you can actually authenticate and get the direct funds transfer. So it's all about usage of the cloud. It's the same thing with private sector. We found that the private sector has also embraced the cloud in a very, very big way. A lot of it is being from a public cloud, and we'll give you examples of that. There has, however, been some hesitation in the banking financial services industry. There has been some hesitancy in state-owned enterprises, and there has been some hesitation in some government department to use the public cloud. And the reasons have been very clear. It is around security, around privacy, around compliance. And during this conference, we will actually share with you the work and research which we've done and how it turns out that really our data centers will meet all the regulatory, all the requirements of organizations like IDRBT. They will meet the requirements of the IT Act. We made sure that all our data centers will have those levels of certification and will fulfill that. We already fulfill the ISO standards. In fact, we just added a new one, 270018, which is all focused on privacy. We are the only company which offers public data centers which actually have that level of certification. We can also provide certification for standards for FISMA as well as HIPAA. So from a data perspective, your data is very secure with us. You own the data. You will always have access to it. And even if you stop your service with us, you can take back the data at will whenever you want. That's a promise which we give, and that's a promise which we will give you in terms of the contract. So when you work with Microsoft on the public data centers, you know that you can trust us because we are fully transparent in terms of you dealing with us. Your data is yours. We don't use it for advertising. And it's the same thing from all the security standards which are required. And again, as part of this conference, we'll share the progress we made in those areas, and we'll share how you can find out whether your workloads can move to the data center, the public cloud, and how your data will be protected. So like I was mentioning, we are, as a company, moving quickly to the cloud. We believe that this is going to be, I think all the analysts say that this is going to be a close to $1 trillion business globally over the course of the next few years. We already have a run rate of over $4.5 billion from a cloud perspective. 80% of the Fortune 500 companies are already using our public cloud infrastructure. And like I mentioned, this is an expensive business. We've invested over $4.5 billion in CapEx on setting up these data centers. It's not just the large corporations, but I think it's also about the startups. And here's a list of some of the startups who have been using Azure. And it's the same thing we're seeing in India. Out of the 11 startups which graduated last week from the Reliance Gen Next Ventures, all 11 were on Azure. Here are examples of Indian companies which have already moved to the public cloud. Get It, FCB Ulka, SR, India Plaza, Central Logic, Agrea Mobility, Cognisys, huge number of companies have already started the journeys. And I want you to understand there's even more. Microsoft, as a rule, we don't publish names of our customers unless they've given us permission to do so. These are the ones who have given us the permission till date, and that's why I'm sharing that with you. But we can share a lot more of companies within your industry, within your vertical, who have already moved and started this migration towards the cloud. And I wanted to basically close with examples from, I think, 3 very well-known organizations, Infosys, Fortis, and ICICI Lombard. All of them have started the journey to the cloud. Let's take the example of Infosys. I don't think Infosys needs an introduction. It's India's IT icon. It is the company which propelled the Indian IT industry globally. It's close to a $10 billion corporation with operations across the globe. They had to take a decision that their website, the public website through which they interface with their customers and with the world at large, they had a challenge in terms of the way it was scaling. They had a challenge because the complexity, it runs on a SharePoint portal, and it had to go back and access information from multiple different feeds. And the challenge was one of scale. They took a decision to move that onto Azure, to move that onto the public cloud, and they've been really happy ever since in terms of its capability, in terms of its scalability, and in terms of the fact that it takes peak loads on request. Very elastic. Another example is Fortis. Fortis runs 63 hospitals in India and abroad. All the Indian hospitals have moved their complete healthcare information systems, their billings, onto Azure. This is a hospital. They closed down or in the process of winding down their data centers and moving everything to the public cloud, the Azure infrastructure. And the last example is ICICI Lombard. Again, very well-known brand, ICICI, in the insurance business, and they've also taken their external portal, their customer portal, again, extensively built around SharePoint, and put it onto the Azure, onto the public cloud. Great examples of companies which have taken the decision for the right reasons. In the case of ICICI, it's interesting because they had very huge fluctuations in terms of load. The peak loads were for something like 3 or 4 days in a week, and then suddenly it would go down. They had to get to a 5x scaling during the course of a week. And they found that by going to the cloud, they were able to conserve their investments because they could take those peak loads and also the reduced loads completely elastically. So that's really what I wanted to share with you. But I have one more, call it a surprise, but for me it's a pleasure to invite onto the stage Mr. Apurva Chandra, who's the Principal Secretary Industry from the Government of Maharashtra. Can I get Mr. Apurva Chandra on the stage? Mr. Chandra, it's such a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
To be here. Thank you very much for joining us here today. I understand you came in, you drove down today morning. You know, in Delhi, we hear a lot about Digital India, and I've had the opportunity to meet with the Prime Minister. And I think what the new government is doing in terms of empowering citizens using technology, I think is fantastic. I think it is going to have a great impact on everything we do in this country. But I've also had the privilege about a month back to meet the new Chief Minister of Maharashtra. And I was really very excited by what he had to share with me. He talked about two very immediate areas which he wanted to focus on. We wanted to use technology. One was the Government of Maharashtra portal called Aple Sarkar. And the second, he says that he wanted to make Maharashtra secure for everybody. He called it, what was it? Huh? Fearless Maharashtra. I love that name. He says it is Fearless Maharashtra. He wants to make sure that every resident of Maharashtra has the security which they deserve. And it's a security both from a social and a physical perspective. So both these initiatives I thought were really very fantastic, and I wanted to understand from you what you think, how you think technology can play a role in Aple Sarkar and Fearless Maharashtra.
Thank you. I remember when you met the Chief Minister just about a month back, he was very keen on adopting the technologies which Microsoft has to offer. And as you mentioned, the technology for Aple Sarkar and for making Maharashtra safe. Aple Sarkar has already been launched, and we are now inviting suggestions, complaints, and feedback from any and every citizen of Maharashtra. And it is our responsibility to take care of these, to respond to them within time, so that the citizen also feels that he is close to the government. As far as the security part is concerned, I think you had that day mentioned that you have developed an app, Microsoft has developed an app which can be available on the mobile for each and every female, each and every lady citizen of the state, so that she can feel secure and contact the police services from anywhere. So these two initiatives were very well appreciated by the Chief Minister, and he is very keen that these should be adopted, and Microsoft should partner the state in making these programs a success. Aple Sarkar portal has already been launched, and we have, in a way, let's say a beta, in the form of a beta. We are already working on that, and we are trying to improve that, and we look forward to your assistance and how the cloud services, what you are showing today, how it will assist us in making it more citizen-friendly. As regards the other initiatives of Government of Maharashtra, the Government of Maharashtra, you in your presentation have mentioned a lot about the government using the cloud services. Yes, definitely. The government has a great role, and because it affects each and every citizen in using the cloud. Some of the instances which directly come to my mind in the context of the state government, the land records itself, they are huge and humongous, 100 years old, all torn up papers many times, not even properly recorded. But now the process of digitization has started, making available each and every land record on the click of a button to a citizen. Just the registration of documents. Many of the youngsters here would be buying property or leasing out property. Now all the documents from 2002 to 2015, registration documents have been digitized and they are available online for search. From 1988 to 2002, that is for the past 30 years, they would be made online within this year, by the end of this year. And these are all parts of ease of doing business which the Prime Minister is advocating. And the CM, the government of Maharashtra is also advocating the ease of doing business. So that the land records become available, the citizen-centric services become available to everybody. Now these are huge and humongous records, the data itself. We in our industries department, we are digitizing our records, Directorate of Industries. I was told that there are 30 million records, old records in there. Maharashtra Industries Development Corporation, another 60, 70 million records. Wow. So this itself would be 100 million records. So digitizing it, making it searchable, that itself, and these are just two departments of the state government. If you look at all the departments of the state government, all the other state governments, the government of India, I think it may run into 1 trillion records or more. So the kind of opportunity which is there in digitizing these records, making it searchable, making it available to the public. And this requires a huge amount of computing power, huge amount of database, as you mentioned, and I am sure that the kind of services which you are unveiling today, we would be very keen to adopt these sort of services. In our department itself, I can mention Maharashtra Industries Development Corporation. Microsoft has been associated with that in the computerization of that. And we, that time, of course, you had not started your cloud services. So 4 years back, we had bought a server, and we are still using that server. Now, my people, before I came to the conference, they told me that that server has become outdated, and we would like to replace it. But now I'm sure we will not replace it. We'll move over to your cloud.
Thank you.
So I think that would be probably, from the state government side, that would probably be the first service which we can move to the cloud, and we can think of others also.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So thank you, everybody. I think, this is one of the most forward-looking states. We're very proud of our association with the Maharashtra government. We will continue to work towards looking at how we can have social impact. We know that Maharashtra is also one of the most industrialized states, and therefore we're looking forward to offering our cloud services to the state of Maharashtra and also from on a national basis. Thank you very much. Enjoy the next 2 days. Thank you.